We're now ready to begin our regular board meeting for the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation. May I have a roll call, please, Ms. Mueller?
Darrell Anderson.
Here.
Beverly Raymond. Christopher Smith.
Here.
Rashad Harris.
Here.
Caprina Frank. Here. Cherry LeBeau.
Here.
Rhonda Connor.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Have an invocation, please, Ms. Frank, if you don't mind.
Gracious Father, we come before you, thanking you for all your many blessings and choices that you bestow upon us. Let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in your sight, our Lord, and our strength in all our ways. Be with us, God, as we make for the city of Port Arthur. This prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge. You all right?
Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Should have received a copy of our minutes from our September 13th special board meeting and our September 21st special joint meeting with the City Council. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the 13th meeting as well as the 21st.
It's been moved and second that we approve the minutes from both of those meetings. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move to our reports. First report is a workforce development report. Renata? Ms. McLean, rather. Excuse me.
Good evening. You guys have been provided an actual breakdown of everything that's been going on thus far for my monthly report for October. The CDL program, we currently have a total of 15 that have completed, and this information was updated on the 30th, which was recently. I will say we have a lot of people calling every day about the CDL program. It is a hot commodity right now, so that's something to think about moving forward. My goal this week is to reach out to the new CDL recipients that recently graduated to see if they're actually seeking employment and or are already employed, because last time I think I reported that 7 had graduated, and I followed up with them. We have an additional amount, so I'm going to follow up with those to see if they actually have employment currently. I did call a few local companies. I know Mr. LeBeau had spoke about that, and I think Ms. Frank had asked about that. Parker Lumber, when I called, they had just filled their last position. So they do have the EDC on the list, and so if anything becomes available, they will alert me and let me know. I also spoke with Gary Chitoni with Hotard, and they are actively looking for drivers. They're actually located off of Highway 73, and I actually have the website. I plan on putting that on our social media outlets just for companies that's out there that may know somebody that's looking for employment, and just posting it and putting it out there on, like I say, on our social media outlets. Also, I did share the information with Lamar State College Port Arthur so that they are aware that these companies are looking for CDL drivers, because the goal of the program is, it's okay for them to get a certification, but we want to make sure that they're employed. FedEx, UPS, Amazon, CRST, and all the other companies that were mentioned last month. I did reach out to our local FedEx and UPS. Everything is pretty much done online. And I did call Ready Mix, and I left a message, but no call back on that. But the CDL program right now is going very well, and a lot of people are interested in it. Also, last month, myself and Mr. Smith, we actually engaged in a Zoom call with the facilitators of the ACT Workkeys program. You guys remember, I think about a year ago, ACT Workkeys was presented to the board, and I think they had a workshop. Well, we're back on it now. I will say the purpose of the call was to reintroduce Workkeys and receive an update on where Port Arthur is as a work-ready community. It was also noted that the administered Workkeys test will provide a baseline for the future and potential workforce of our community. The data will emerge over time utilizing tests to measure strengths and weaknesses. And also during that Zoom call, they did talk about 3 tests that were very important, and I have them listed, which is the applied math, the graphic literacy, and the workplace documents. And as you can see, just a breakdown, 97% of all skills measured utilizing this test is in the United States. 500 communities, 30 states in the U.S. are using Workkeys to fill jobs in their communities. There is an online curriculum used to help those that may lack in a particular assessment. So basically, the way he broke it down, and Chris, you could jump in, he said that just say you have someone in the community that actually takes the test and they may lack in one part of the, like say maybe it's the applied science. They have a chance to go back and retake the test and get better, and then come back and retake, and if they actually pass, they're ready to go to work. Also, schools, he talked about schools and how, if students or people going into the workforce, but particular students are lacking, and when I talk about that, our CAPE building, because we have a lot of programs that are aligned with our workforce components and what we do here, they can better prepare our students for the workforce, and whether it be high school, college, or a technical school. It says that PAEDC is currently awaiting the 20,000 jobs they have profiled in our community, and that's something that they spoke about before I actually took it on, but he did talk about 20,000 jobs that they have profiled just for Port Arthur. The ultimate goal is unemployment down, employment up. It was pitched that Lamar State College Port Arthur agreed to be a testing site if this happens. The goal, and I guess you can say he spoke about hiring a profiler, and that's something down the line that we can talk about. And then he also talked about work-ready communities are the best way to go, and site selectors use data when trying to locate a company. And I'll give an example, like some communities have certified sites. We don't have a certified business park, but it's good to have something like Workkeys implemented and plan it out, because when you have site selectors and consultants that are interested in coming to your location, you have that data and that information available. At this point, contacts have been emailed. We're waiting for some follow-up information. I did make contact with Mr. Smith on last week. We talked about the boot camp training. That's anticipating the invite to a conference that rolls out a 30, 60, and a 90-day plan, and just going, and they're supposed to provide us with some links, and we're still waiting on that. And do you have anything to say about it, or?
That was just my question. Had they provided you that document, because there was some data and some documentation that we was going to present to the board to kind of have them to have discussions around it, so they can understand the glide path forward for how we want to move forward with this. But a lot of information they share with us, we need to look at as a board and make assessment on how we feel that this can help us to, one, enhance the people that we have available for work. As Renata, Ms. Lee was saying, having that data on our website, when companies are coming down here to try to figure out if they want to build businesses, they want to see where the labor pool is going to be. That information can help people to make a selection to come to Port Arthur as opposed to go some other location. If we have those work community data and that information on our website, they will be able to see the labor pools that we have, and they'll be able to understand where their hiring is going to come for the people they need to employ for their opportunities. So I am definitely looking forward to working with you, Ms. Lee, to continue to get that data so we can kind of get that going a little bit better and get it out there so we can make sure we can start qualifying the talent that we got so we can actually get people to get employed.
Okay. And then our Arcadian Ambulance Program, the program, it says here 6 participants, but I was just notified today that we actually have 2 that have actually completed the program. I'm very excited. We started off with a larger number. We have 2 new medics in our Port Arthur community, so that's something to be really, really excited about. I did reach out to the facilitator to get an update, but I haven't quite heard back yet from her yet. Our Digital Workforce Academy, which is our new implemented program, I will tell you that all documents have been signed on both ends, and Digital Workforce is excited about coming on board with the EDC. I met with Mr. White face-to-face, I think it was last week, and he's just very excited about on board, and I actually spoke with him again today, and I am going to let you know that we have 16 people that are actually currently enrolled in their NCC or pipe fitter certification program. 10 of them, of course, EDC will pay for, but together is 16. And he also notified me that if anyone wants to do a walkthrough at any time, they're located right across the street. You're more than welcome. I will say the times, they're open Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5, but classes are from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
What is the profiler?
That, I guess, basically, I didn't get the definition of a profiler. Maybe you can step in, Mr. Smith, and talk about a profiler.
My understanding, Ms. Frank, a profiler was a person that can help to identify certain skill sets and certain building blocks that can kind of help to identify certain talent tracks that will go in certain directions based on how the profile is built up. Now, my question to them is still, again, with the packet of information they shared with us, it was going to go in a lot more detail so we can kind of give more definition to what we're talking about. And from that standpoint, we're really waiting on that because there's a lot of unanswered questions in the information that we're waiting for them to provide to us.
Yeah, we're really waiting right now.
I know at one time welding and pipe fitting was a big thing, so the need is not out there anymore?
I want to say yes, it is. But right now, I guess the EDC's demand and those things can change amongst you guys. But CDL, the medic program was something that was of interest. We also have, like I say, the NCCER pipe fitter program. So we do have, the needs, and there is a demand. It's just trying to find out what actually fits. Yeah, right now.
Thank you, ma'am.
I had one question.
I was going to ask, and it's not on here, but I had a note from a couple of times ago on that scaffolding building project with Lamar. How's that going?
Actually, right now, we don't have anyone partaking in our scaffolding program at this time.
How long is that agreement going to be for? Like
Next
we gave
year. It expires next
Okay,
year.
okay.
I had one question. I had a conversation with someone about CDL, the CDL program. Actually, that was a meeting that took place, but not to get into all of that. They said that there were some issues with individuals getting into the program because of some type of something they have to go through to get in. And I thought it was just you apply and you get in the program. Is
No.
it something else
That's
attached
not-
to that?
Well, that's not on my end.
I know it's not on your
I've
end.
never
I'm
been
just-
approached.
I'm just
by-
asking
yeah.
you if you knew it, if there was something that they had to go through.
I've never really had any issues because most of the time, most people that call, first of all, TWC. If they deny them, of course, they can go directly to Lamar State College Port Arthur, but our contact there is Amanda Metz, and once the information is turned in to them, they actually decipher through, send that component here. I decipher through, make sure that all the income levels meet up and match up and that they are a Port Arthur resident, and 9 times out of 10, they qualify. They are approved.
Okay.
Very seldom do I turn down anyone unless monies are a concern.
Mr. Anderson, just to piggyback on that, as far as we in the workforce go, like Renata said, the only qualification is the income. And I know when they do get to Lamar State College, Lamar does require that they do a 3-year driving history as well as a drug test. So there are those 2 components that they have to get through before they get accepted.
Yes.
One question. What about if you have a past criminal record?
We have had people that actually have had past criminal records that have actually gotten through with certain documentation. So that hasn't really been, I guess, an issue unless have you ever had an issue?
No, that's correct. They actually kind of market this program as a second chance type deal because they don't really look at the criminal history, but they do look at the driving history, obviously, because it is a CDL program.
Any other questions? Thank you. Now we have our program compliance report.
Good evening, board members. Okay, quick updates on some of your projects that are open. Rustin Penland, that is the individual who purchased land out at the business park for his company named Texan Tools. He has started preparing the building pad area with dirt. He's currently working with the engineers on the details of the building construction plans to send to the city for permitting. So he hopes to have those to the city by the mid-December, I believe is early to mid-December. So hopefully concrete slabs should be poured by the year's end over there, so you'll see something coming up early next year in the business park for them. Our business park security services, that contract is coming up to term, so we have put an advertisement out there for RFPs. It's been posted and placed in the newspaper, as well as other means of outlets that the city utilizes. The pre-bid meeting will take place tomorrow at 2 o'clock, so I'll be out there with them looking over the business park so that they can get an idea before they turn in their bids. So hopefully in November, we'll come back to you with a recommendation on a new contractor. I did want to let you all know that I was able to attend the annual National Training Institute in San Antonio through the American Contract Compliance Association. Last year it was canceled because of COVID, but they went ahead and went on with this one. It was very informative, brought back a lot of information, and I did receive 21 education credit hours out of that. So wanted to let you guys know that. Jana and I will be attending the Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce. They have an extension, their Hispanic Business Council. They have invited the EDC to take part in their business expo that they're putting on this year. They have offered us a free booth to give out information. So Jana and I will take advantage of that and give out information as to our small business services that are going to be coming up over at the Port Arthur News building that we're renovating. Projects that you all approved at the last meeting. The extension to INC Entertainment has been approved by the council, so we will be executing that amendment here soon. Clifford Distillery and A&P Amin LLC were both passed by City Council. We are working before we can execute the agreement and move forward. We do have to make sure that their collateral is in place by way of letter of credit for both of these contracts. So we'll be working with them both to make sure we've got that on file before we actually execute the agreement and move forward. But it has been passed by council. And that concludes the project compliance report.
Questions? Now we have our financial report.
Good evening, Board. Tonight, I will not have a financial report for you, a monthly financial report for you. September 30th just ended on Thursday. We're still processing for the month of September, and it happens to be our fiscal year end. So that report will come to you in November. You'll have the September report and a little information on the fiscal year end. However, I did include in your packet the adopted budget for fiscal year 21-22. If you look at the first sheet, there's two highlighted areas. You guys will be discussing those areas, I think, in closed sessions this evening. That shows you how those two items will affect your bottom line in the budget for next year. The adopted budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022 is $6,013,790. The total budget, including our transfer in and transfer outs, which is our debt service, and also our other capital improvements and administrative costs, brings your total operating budget to $8,074,488. If you look at the sheet that's right behind, it lists your expenditures that you guys approved, and it breaks it down per cost is personnel, salary, office supplies. All those things are broken down so you can see what makes up that $6 million. Is there anything I would like to ask the board? Is there anything that you want me to look at for the next board meeting that you would like answered for the last fiscal year that we just got out of, or anything you want me to kind of focus on for this upcoming budget? No? Well, that concludes for tonight. I look forward to bringing you guys a very interesting report, hopefully something that shows that we did very, very well next month. Thank you, and you have a great day.
Thank you. Community and Business Center report.
Good evening, good evening.
Okay, CTEX, they continue to work on the building as fast as they can. Of course, we've had Hurricane Nicholas, we had rain all week last week, so as frustrating as it is to me, we have more delays. We were able to get the architect and the roof manufacturer to go ahead and okay that installation so that we can get the roof on areas A and B. In the last hour and a half, I got an email from Lamar. They're very concerned about some of the things that happened to their side of the building during the recent rains, and so that's what I'm over there working on right now. I did tell them that we need to meet tomorrow morning without fail, because at this point, the EDC is going to have to do something to make our tenants happy. I am waiting on the accreditation team from the state to look at that space and make sure that it's accreditable for those students. They need to be able to have lab time. They can't learn how to cook with Play-Doh when we've spent the kind of money that we've spent. And at this time, I'm sick of excuses. With that being said, I know that we have a lot of challenges with this project that continue to happen because of COVID, because of weather and things like that. But we also have to be about the business of moving forward and not always regressing every 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm sure you can tell by my tone I'm not real happy right now. But it'll be okay. So other than that, Lamar's continuing to hold classes. The professor's really pleased with the classroom space. But of course, she can't use her kitchens, and so that continues to be, a point of contention. But the second floor concrete on areas A and B for our co-working space has been poured. 90% of the metal framing for the interior has been completed by Brahma Drywall. DataVox is going ahead and starting the cabling on areas A and B. I've gotten with Best Buy so that we can go ahead and start procuring the things that we need so that the installation of the audio-visual equipment is more seamless on that side of the building, since we kind of worked out the kinks on the part of the building that's already complete. Our furniture is still scheduled to be delivered mid-December. The EOC has furniture scheduled to be delivered mid-November, so we'll talk about that. Michael Savoy called me last week. He's completed all of the artwork that he was challenged to do for the building, so he knows that delivery won't be probably until mid-December, early January, but we already have the invoice, and I have confirmation that that artwork is complete. And we continue to have inquiries about the lab and about the collective, but those are some issues that we're working out, because we have to develop that program and have it approved by the board and by the city council. So a lot of my time right now is working on a pro forma budget that I can present to you guys in the next couple of months, so I can show you what my anticipated revenue is. And then of course we'll be doing a guesstimate on what those expenses will be for the upcoming calendar year, so that by the time we move into our next fiscal year, we can see what kind of revenues we'll have and how we're able to sustain whatever programs we decide to do in that building. Any questions?
Yeah, Jana, based on the delays that we're seeing for the building right now, do we need to have a contingency plan for the furniture that's supposed to be delivered in mid-December?
At this point, I don't think so, because once that roof is installed in the next couple of weeks and they can drive that building in, I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Debbie and I talk every day. So at this point, I think we're okay.
I had a question. You said that they have some issues with the building on their side of the building that's being damaged. What exactly is?
Well,
is it from the rain or?
During Hurricane Nicholas, that side of the building, took on water. And of course, in all fairness to CTEX, it is because they could not get that roof and installation material. Therefore, half the building doesn't have a roof. But they did man the building 24 hours. There were about 5 guys that stayed at the building during the weather just to use push brooms and try to do their best to keep the water out. But, we have some ceiling tiles that are damaged. and things of that nature. So, of course, again, we understand, but we also have people from the state coming to be sure that their space is ready for their students. So we have to get that taken care of.
No equipment was,
No, sir. No equipment was ruined.
Basically have to come up with a solution till they fix the roof to kind of block it off or
Right,
maybe
there's a
tarp it or
temporary
something
roof
like that?
now.
Oh, okay.
But again, I hope that installation comes this week so they can go ahead and get the roof installed.
Okay.
And then we don't have to worry about it. But if anybody wants to tour the building, I think Ms. Raymond and Mr. Smith are the only two that have been over there, but it's really nice. It's really nice.
No rain coming no time soon, so
Yeah, it's
hopefully.
supposed to be dry according
It's
to Mr.
supposed to be dry all
Bostic,
week, so hopefully
Yeah.
they can do something. But that's all I have.
Question. The damages that occur, who's going to incur the cost? Are they going to?
CTEX,
Detail, okay.
that's part of their contingency.
Any other questions?
Oh, also, I wanted to explain, never mind. Well, the janitorial that'll come up is only for that side of the building. Right now, we do have the people that are currently cleaning this building coming on an as-needed basis because there are a lot of people in and out of there now. So we'll talk about that more when that item comes up. Okay.
Thank you so much. All right. Under unfinished business, we have to discuss for possible consideration the recommendation of the committee reviewing the PA EDC bylaws. Ms. Mueller.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, Joni did provide to you all in your packets a cleaned-up version of the bylaws based on the board's recommendations and their approval of the changes at the last board meeting. So in front of you is that cleaned-up version. Now, I don't know if anybody has any questions as to this version. If not, we would like to go ahead and submit to the City Council for their approval.
Question, since Commissioner Connor is here right now, and there were some sections that I wasn't appropriately able to address that we discussed, it's going to be the last page, page 11, we talked about 9.07, and page 15, 11.05. Now that you're here, Ms. Connor, and I wasn't properly prepared to discuss the commentary that we had around that, can you probably share your insights?
Okay, usually on most of our contracts, or as it states, deeds, or any type of legal matter, we usually have the president and secretary of the board sign off on it. At times, we will put the executive director listed on there for signature. So that is that's who they're referring to whenever they say a designated person, because you all usually designate the executive director to sign off on things in place of the president and secretary. Yes, ma'am.
that's already brought to the board, right, before anybody signs anything.
Correct. Anything that we sign off on is approved by the board.
Mr. Chairman, I think you had a motion on the floor?
Yeah, for us to, either we're going to go on with this, or what are we doing? with these revisions.
One question regarding the revision. I see on section 13.03 where we taking out chief executive officer of the corporation and replacing with executive director. And I'm just trying to understand the reason why. Because technically, the chief executive officer cannot do anything without the board's approval. So why are we changing to executive director?
I'll be glad to answer that.
That was Miss Beverly Raymond. And this is, who are we speaking with now?
My name is Austin Beck. I'm an associate of Frank Garza's, just filling in for him today.
Glad to have you, Mr. Beck.
Over from another meeting.
Go right ahead.
With regard to section 1303, I spoke with Frank about that, and the basic reasoning there was that when you, if you include language there establishing the position of deputy director, it kind of ties the hands of a future executive director that comes in, would then have to, fill that spot. And the thinking is that if it's not included in the bylaws, then that would enable future directors to determine whether or not that position is necessary, or what the scope of duties would be. So it just kind of gives a little more leeway for them to come in and staff as they see appropriate.
Mr. Beck, Miss Raymond was referring to the section where the request to revise the writing from chief executive officer to executive director. She was asking what was the purpose of that.
Oh, I understand. I must have misheard.
Ms. Raymond, I believe that actually was a recommendation from the Bylaws Committee. I don't know if Mr. Smith or Ms. Connor can speak on the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, I can give reason behind that. The reason why the recommendation was made, because as a chief executive officer, we felt the title was empowering an individual to be able to act on our behalf, without our permission. And we wanted to make sure that this role was going to be aligned, because this role serves to the pleasure of the board. And the chief executive officer by title, to me, in my assessment, to correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Connor, it entitled too much power without authority of the board. That was a justification and the context for the change.
Now, according to the bylaws, it states that the corporation may employ Director of Economic Development, subject to the approval of the City Council. Director of Economic Development should serve as the Chief Executive Officer of the corporation and shall be charged with the responsibilities of carrying out. The Director should develop policies and procedures for corporation, including financial, accounting, and purchasing policies and procedures to be approved by the board and the City Council. So, again, he cannot do anything, even though he has the power, he cannot do anything without the approval of the board and the City Council. So, I mean, it's fine, we can change it to that. I just was trying to get an explanation of the reason for it, because they cannot do anything without the approval of the board or the City Council, unless I'm incorrect. If I'm incorrect, okay, approved. Thank you.
Just noted. Because they can't do,
Pull your mic down.
they can't do anything without the board. The director cannot do anything without the approval of board and city council. So I didn't know. I didn't understand.
Was this item, we still going to change it, or we're not going to change it, or?
I didn't understand. I guess I didn't think of a thought process. Because you can't do anything without the board.
But it's a topic we can address in the executive session, because there were some changes that were made without the board's permission.
And it shouldn't have been.
and it should not have been. So that was kind of some of the rationale behind that recommendation, because there were some decisions that were made without us having that knowledge of that, and it was brought to the city council without our permission.
That's good. Glad I know.
Mr. Anderson, I would just double check with Mr. Beck that we can take the bylaws into executive session.
Mr. Beck,
Yes, sir.
can we discuss bylaws in executive session?
If it falls within one of the exceptions, so if it were for,
It kind of deals with employees.
like with regard to specific personnel,
It deals with personnel, what we're discussing.
well, the personnel decision is generally, specific to a person that's,
It's dealing with the executive director. And the description in the
I'm
bylaws.
not sure that it quite satisfies the requirements.
Okay.
If it's for purposes of seeking legal counsel, or if it were, the personnel exception is generally, with regard to a specific person rather than the position as a whole, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It does infer the power of the person in the position, though, right?
With regard to the name change,
Right.
Director of Economic Development to Executive Director, I mean, it's really just a term of art that I don't think, it's really up to you all what you feel comfortable with, but.
Well, I guess the question is the juice worth the squeeze on a CEO and a job title and executive director? Do we really need to go around the table again just for a name change? Because it doesn't take away from the power of the position. We just talking about a title.
Yes, I mean, the scope of their authority is going to be determined by statutes and by your own bylaws, so it's when I'm reading the recommendations here, it looks like it's more for not appearances, but it's the name change is more to convey the person's role within the organization rather than alter their duties with the name change. So legally speaking, you could title that position either one. It's really up to you all.
According to what I'm hearing, it seems like it's just the bylaws are not being enforced. Because if something happened where the CEO took upon himself to do something against the board's approval, then it was illegal.
Okay, so still on the table. Are we going to change the name, or are we going to leave the name the same? It's going to be the same power, same position, same authority.
I
So
think we
just
should leave the name as is. That's me.
I say leave it the same. Me personally.
Is everybody okay with leaving the name the same?
Like,
We're going to. Well, what we're going to do is we need a motion to approve these bylaws, these amendments, with the exception of the change from executive director. We're going to leave it as CEO, chief executive officer. That would be the motion.
I move.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the amendment from our bylaw committee with the exception of section 13.30. We'll leave the chief executive officer there instead of replacing it with executive director. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We finally have that as finished business. All right, I need a motion to approve our consent agenda items.
So moved.
It's been moved and second to approve all of the consent agenda items. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Non-consent agenda item number 1, to discuss for possible consideration engaging janitorial services for areas C and D of the press building for 3 months, renewable for 3 additional months.
Yes, Board, what you have is a memo from me, and behind it you have 3 bids. The bids were obtained from companies that are already approved by the city's purchasing department. Southeast Texas Building Services bid $2,000, AHC $1,592.72, and Quest $1,565. So at this point, I'm asking that the board consider approving a janitorial service contract for areas C and D of the press building with Quest Janitorial or Maintenance Services LLC. And I'm saying 3 months, renewable for 3 months, just in case we encounter more delays. I won't have to come back to the board or council to ask them to extend that time. And once we get ready to open up the entire building, we'll go out for bid for janitorial services for the entire building. We'll make the contract, have a termination clause of 30 days. And right now, that's looking like the lowest bid was about 10 cents per square foot. So we'd be looking at about, $4,500 a month once the entire building opens. So we'll need to think about that when we adopt a rental rate for the tenants of the building.
Any questions?
C and D building is which building? It is completed.
The area C and D is the part of the building you toured, Lamar and the EOC.
Okay.
And then areas A and B are our co-working space and our lease kitchen that are still under construction.
Okay.
So I just want to get janitorial services for the areas that are completed and do a 3-month contract and be able to renew it for 3 months if necessary. It includes all of the chemicals. We will provide all of the paper goods just like we do with the service here. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? I need a motion.
Which one we approving? Oh,
Quest.
Quest? Okay, Quest, okay. I move.
Second. Give me a second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the janitorial service agreement and enter an agreement with Quest for the press building for 3 months and renewable for an additional 3 months. Again, that's with Quest. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 2, to discuss with possible consideration a request from the Greater Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce regarding their lease. Ms. Mueller.
Okay, in your packet, you should see a letter that was submitted to us from the Greater Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce. As you might recall, at several of the last board meetings, it was a little warm in here. We have been having AC issues throughout the months of July, August, and September. It has been rectified. It did take a while because of the specific part that they needed had to be custom made. It took a very long time to get that in. So many issues, surrounding COVID and all of that. So we did go without air for some time. There was some time where it was working at 50%. So looking at their request, which they are asking for 2/3 of a reduction in the amount of $1,681.44 is what it totals up to. They are asking that for the 3 months of July, August, and September. We ourselves had worked up a recommendation ourselves, just looking at, which days they were out completely, which days they were working at 50%, and it kind of, it equaled out. So our recommendation to you all, if you are okay with it, is to go ahead and give them that reduction in rate that they're asking for, but it is the pleasure of the board.
The amount? The $1,681.44?
Correct. That is 2/3 of their monthly rate. Their monthly rate is $2,522.16.
Any questions?
Was unable to use the building at all, or did they even come in the building during those times that there was no AC?
Yes, sir, they did. So there were days that it was working at 50%. They were able to work up there. There were times that they would have to leave early. It just depended on the day. Some days it was working for us. Some days it was down completely. They were up there at more than 80 degrees. So they weren't able to work some days at all.
Make a motion that
I second. 80 degrees, we can't take it.
Been moved and seconded that we approve agenda item number 2 and grant the Greater Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce those funds regarding their lease. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 3, to discuss the services of an engineer to evaluate costs for infrastructure projects. Ms. Mueller.
Okay, if you recall at your last meeting, we presented to you all an infrastructure project. Our former chief executive officer explained that we were going to go at we were recommending 25% of their infrastructure costs as their incentive because of the fact that we did not have an engineer on staff at the city to evaluate the cost of the infrastructure to give us a true cost of what that might be or what that might look like in comparison to what they were submitting. So right now there is discussion about the city contracting an engineer to help them out in the meantime. If that's the case, we hope that they will be able to review our infrastructure projects once again. But in the meantime, we kind of just wanted to give you all a heads up on it. We may, because there are 2 others that are currently on the pipeline for infrastructure projects that may come to you, we may reach out to an engineering company to do one-time services for us until we nail that down. If the city does not go with this contract with an engineer, we may have to contract the services of an engineer at that point for long-term. And we wanted to bring it before you to make sure that there wasn't any questions by the board, as to what our plan was moving forward with those infrastructure projects.
I was concerned about it, and I know Floyd was earlier, that they don't have any engineers over there. One of them was supposedly going to come back, and he hasn't signed yet, but he already left once. He might leave again in the middle of a problem. And if they are overloaded, when are we going to get our stuff done? And I just thought we'd go out for bids on as needed. It's not like it's a monthly service or anything like that. It would just be, if we need you, we call you, you give us a bid up front. Just ahead of the game, that's all it was.
Yeah. Any other comments about that? That's one thing that we don't need, or any hold-ups. But we want to see if we can still, our first contact would be with the city to see if they would be able to take care of anything, and then just would have the ability to go out and find someone in case there will be some delays. Do you have any idea what something like that would cost, or no idea at all?
Reached out, but without giving them a print or something, they wasn't going to commit, and I don't blame them.
They're gonna need like some type of blueprint to at least.
Yeah, it's a professional.
Oh yeah, they're not gonna just throw a number out there without seeing something. Yeah, they.
But I mean, it wouldn't cost us anything to get a bid.
Right.
What are you asking us to do here?
It's really just information purposes, and I appreciate you reaching out, Jerry, for us. But we will have to look at what that cost is for one time, and then also if we do have to contract the services of them long term, we'll have to actually go out for quotes and bids for an annual contract. So we haven't gotten there yet, but we'll start looking at the prices for that.
So you don't need any action on this?
No action, just feedback if y'all are okay with that, with
Yeah,
the route we're going.
We definitely don't want any projects to be held up, you know, just because personnel issues. So if that's something that we can do and it's not that bad as far as cost, I believe we should be fine to keep everything rolling.
Yeah, as long as it's not consistent. If it's on a consistent basis, then we may look at getting a whole nother engineer. But if it's, you know, once an occurrence, we may have to have a situation where they cannot get to us, then I can see it. But if it's consistent, then we have to look at something else.
Right.
Thank you. And item number 4, to discuss the purchase of audio-visual equipment for EDC use, requested by the one that will speak, Mr. LeBeau.
Well, I tried this when Floyd was here, and he rejected it, so I'm going to try it again. He's not here. Floyd didn't like to spend any money, we know that. But I felt like, you know, the city, they own the equipment. We have to beg them to bring the stuff here, and they have, you know. But what I understood, it was like $800 for the whole monitor and everything like we've seen in the count. It'd be nice to have our own, and we could use it and do what we wanted. And since it jumped up another $700 because we have to have a laptop with it, and I didn't know that. And Joni and them figured it out. So it's more than $800 because Anderson wanted one for $800. And
I don't want it now.
No. But anyway, that was my thing. That we'd have our own. We would quit begging on the city, and you know. But whatever.
How often will we use something like this?
I don't know. We'd probably lend it more than we would use it. Lend it out to people, you know, like whoever, chamber or whatever.
Any other questions? Thoughts?
I'm a firm advocate of having our own, because the less that we can lean on the city, the less I'm all about that. Because we need to be self-sufficient as much as possible.
Oh, we are a little behind as far as technology. We do rely on the city quite a bit. As far as your question, Mr. Anderson, how often do we use it? At this time, in the past, we haven't had to use it a lot, but because of COVID and everything going virtual, it may be something you all want to consider having now. So,
And also, for people that want to present to us that are not here but want to be visit with us, that's something we can use it for, as well as any kind of meetings we need to have with instructors and or teachers and these other people that are supporting us in these other programs. If they can't be here, they can be on camera. So we can find a use for it.
Also, isn't it live?
Yep,
Wouldn't it be live?
it'd be
Yes.
live.
And they don't have to wait they can look at it live.
Correct.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Let me have a motion.
I so move.
Second.
It's been moved in second that we approve the purchase of audio-visual equipment for EDC use. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, to discuss for possible consideration appointing a board member to the scholarship committee. Ms. Meet a volunteer.
Pretty much the reason for this particular agenda item is because we had a board member who was previously on the scholarship committee but is no longer on this board, and so we need one additional person to possibly be added to that scholarship committee. Basically, every year, you know, we give out 5 scholarships, and so all that information will be when we would get together, get the information, send out, you read through all the information, we would calibrate everything from beginning to end, and then we would announce our scholarship winners for 2022.
Raymond, you volunteer? Now you have to make sure you get your information back before I get mine back.
Yes. Yes.
I'm the slowest one. Oh my God. Thank you. So Ms. Raymond, myself, and Ms. Connors will serve on that committee. That was funny. To discuss for possible consideration, agenda item number 6, to discuss for possible consideration appointing a board member to the microloan committee.
okay.
Is that?
Yes, this is kind of the same issue with the other committee. We had a board member that served on that committee, so we just need to fill that spot. The micro loan program is a small business micro loan that we offer for small businesses and startups. That committee is the one that works with Ms. Rachel Jacquette and looking over the application and deciding whether it is a feasible project to receive a loan or not.
How many, we just need one for that? Who's on there right now?
I'm going to refer over to Ms. Jacquette for that answer.
I do not remember.
Hey, right now, Mr. Anderson, you're on the microloan committee. Mr. Smith is on the microloan committee. And the board member, former board member Dallas Smith. So we only had 3 members to that committee. So we just need to replace Mr. Smith, and we'll be good to go.
But Ms. Frank I was going to volunteer anyway. Hallelujah.
Thank you so much, Ms.
Amen.
Frank.
All right. I went to church on that one. All right. Agenda item number 7. To discuss for possible consideration appointing board members to a committee to review legal counsel responses to the request for qualifications. Ms. Mueller.
Okay, as you all are aware, we did advertise requests for qualifications for legal counsel. The closing date is on October 15th is whenever they have to have their qualification packets in. So we would like to go ahead and establish a committee that would be made up of staff and 1 or 2 board members. So we're asking anybody that would like to be on that committee, we would be grading the qualifications and coming back to the entire board with a recommendation on your legal counsel.
This is, you said it closes on when?
October 15th.
15th? I couldn't remember. Anyone want to,
Let me ask a point of clarity. Like, for instance, we have the bids going out for TML and International Economic Development Council for the people that we want for the replacement of the EDC director, right?
Correct.
So this will be a part of that committee?
no.
No,
this
this
for
is
legal
separate.
services.
This
This
is
is
separate.
separate.
This
Just
is
for
legal
our attorney.
counsel services, and then there will be a separate committee for the other.
Okay, no, I'll volunteer for that one.
Anyone else would like to volunteer for that one? I'm going to work with it regardless, so. Anyone?
Who's actually on it besides me now and the 2 others?
Because this is a services that the EDC is hiring, it'll be 1 or 2 staff members and then 1 or 2 board members.
Okay, so I guess it's me and you, Darryl?
Me, you.
But she said 2. Who's it gonna be? Well, I know I'm
Does anyone else want to sit on it? I'm asking, just in case. All right, you committee members down. You have Mr. Smith. I guess it'd be
Yourself?
yourself and George. I know I'm gonna be on it. Yeah, you don't have to write me down.
So Daryl Anderson and Christopher Smith. Okay.
Other than that. You gonna do it, Darryl?
I am. You're not
Good.
helping?
Good. Huh?
You're not helping?
Well, I'll help.
That's what
Okay,
Mr.
I'll
LeBeau
do
as
it.
well.
Okay.
It's on, what's the 2 websites? Remind me.
TML and IEDC?
IADC. It is on IADC, but not TML.
Oh, it
So
is.
it is. I pulled it out. It is on the, but not TML. I do not see it posted on TML.
Okay. It's supposed to be 2 locations.
Does that?
That's for discussion in executive session.
We got it. Okay.
All right, this time we will,
Chairman, was there a motion there to appoint someone to the committee?
say it again.
Was there a motion to appoint a member to the committee for review of legal counsel?
There wasn't. We need a motion for that one.
I'd recommend one just to clarify that the board,
Do it.
that their will's clear.
Sure. Let me have a motion for that item.
Make a motion.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we form a committee to review the application for legal counsel. That committee will consist of myself, Mr. LeBeau, and Mr. Smith, along with personnel from the EDC. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time,
We'll read it.
we will, yeah. At this time, we will close for executive session. The closed meeting or executive session will be held pursuant to the following sections of the Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, Section 072, Section 074, Section 078. We'll adjourn for executive session. Re-adjourn our regular board meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Darrell Anderson,
Here.
Beverly Raymond, Christopher Smith, Rashad Harris, Kaprina Frank, Jerry LeBeau,
Here?
Rhonda Connor. Okay, you have a chair. You have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you so much. Listen, we have no action items coming out of executive session on tonight. Thank everyone for your time and for your commitment to the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation. I entertain a motion to, and thank you, Ms. Mueller. You did a wonderful job on tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Been moved and second that we adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? See y'all on next month.
Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Beck.